I've been working on a series of reality videos, and this is part 2 of sunrise equals reality. Now, if you haven't seen part 1, you should check it out. Now, in part 1, I show you how we built a model, and sunrise matches a flat Earth model. Now, when you look at a time lapse of the sun, that shows you what's really going on. Now, I'm going to make another model and show you how the sun works on a flat Earth. First, we'll have to take a look at the difference between daylight and sunlight. Now let's look at a regular light, like this one. Now, if you shine it at an object, on the back side of it, you can't see anything because it's dark, obviously. Okay, here I am standing in the sunlight. You can see my shadow. The light's so bright, it's blowing up the meter. I can't read it. Now there's a wall behind me. Now I'm in the shade. I'm in the daylight. I'm in the shade, I can still see. It's 1,000-foot candles. A bright kitchen is like 30-foot candles. A shadow is darkness. If you're sitting in the shade, you're sitting in daylight. So here I am on a cloudy day. I'm standing in daylight. There is no sunlight. There's no shadows anywhere. And it's still 600-foot candles. So I'm standing in an energy field that gives off light. Okay, so here the day begins. And now we're in daylight. It's getting brighter and brighter. Now notice the sun hasn't popped out yet. There's no sun, but look how bright the building is. Okay, so now it gets closer and closer, and now you can see the sun. Now the sun's getting closer and closer. It's getting brighter and brighter. Now that wouldn't happen on the globe model, because as soon as the sun came around the corner, it would be bright. So it's getting brighter and brighter as the sun gets closer and closer. Okay, so here's our flat Earth model, and here's our energy field. We're going to call this daylight. Okay, so here's the light on the Earth, and it goes around in a circle like this. So now people will say, well, how come the whole Earth doesn't light up? Well, that's because the energy field only goes so far. It's because of the atmosphere. Let me give you an example. Okay, so now here's one piece of glass. Now you can see through the one piece of glass, no problem. You can read the paper. Now, here is multiple pieces of glass, like 15 or something. And you can't see through all the pieces of glass. It's called attenuation, because the glass isn't perfectly clear, neither is the atmosphere. Now daylight can only travel so far. It's called the atmospheric deck of opacity. Here's a great example. My friend David Weiss took a drone up to like 4,000 feet or something like that. And then when he got to the top, he could see the sun. And then he watched it just fade away. So you can see, as the sun moves away, it just faded away into the atmosphere. Okay, back to our flat Earth model. Okay, here's our energy field, our light field, our plasma field, our electromagnetic field, daylight. So here it is on the Earth, and then this electrical field, the center of it, I think, is the sun. This is the pinpoint energy creating a ball of light in the middle. So now, if this thing was 93 million miles away, how is it going to make an energy field on Earth? It's not. So it's more like it's only a few thousand miles up, and it works off the energy field of the entire Earth. Okay, so here's two Gaussian surfaces. You introduce high voltage in between, and then it creates a plasma ball. Check how bright this thing is. It's 8,000 degrees. It makes sense to me that the sun is a plasma arc in a high voltage energy field. If you had a distant sun, it would cast a black shadow on the Earth. How is the sun 93 million miles away going to create a light energy field on half the Earth? Doesn't make any sense. It's dark, we see light, then we see the sun. Now this is a time lapse from Nome, Alaska, winter solstice. Now the sun's gone, and now the light disappears. Okay, back to our model. Let's see how it matches reality. Okay, so here's the winter solstice right here, and there's Nome, Alaska. Now the sun's going to follow the winter solstice. Now, as soon as it comes right there, you see it hits daylight. Now you see daylight. Now it keeps going, and then right in there you see sunlight. Now there's sunlight for a couple hours, and then Right around here, you don't see the sun anymore, and then it fades away, and now it's in the dark again. If you can see it back there, it just goes around. Now the sun never really comes up very high; it stays flat because perspectively it's on the edge the whole time. So it makes total sense. It works great on this model. Now the sun is going to cross this path here. Now the sun basically stays far away from the viewer and perspectively stays low in the sky. Let's do the same time of year in Florida, and let's take a look at this time lapse. Okay, so right here, there's no sun, it's dark, there's no light. Okay, so here it gets daylight, right there. There's no sun yet. And it does a loop in the sky. Notice how it's a lot higher this time. And then the sun is gone, and then the light disappears. Let's see how that time lapse works on this model. All right, so here's our winter solstice. We're going to stay on that line again. And here's Florida. It's a lot closer than Alaska. So as the sun goes around like this, hits daylight. Now that it's closer, now I see the sun. Now the sun's higher in the sky because it's closer. And then it comes around. Now the sun's gone, and then there's the daylight's gone right there. So it works perfectly fine. Now, of course, the sun starts out far away. And then this time it takes a different path closer to the viewer. So that makes the sun perspectively higher in the sky. Then it takes off away, in which it goes lower in the sky, and then it fades away to nothing. Which makes total sense why in Alaska it's way colder in the wintertime than in Florida, because the sun is a lot closer. Okay, now let's do the summer solstice in Florida. So in the summer solstice, this is the path it takes right here. Now the sun is coming around, and boom, it hits daylight right there, and then it goes around, and now the sun should be going right at you. The sun should be going straight up. Then it comes out behind you, out the back side. So here's the path of the sun. Now let's see what it looks like in reality. So here's our summer solstice. Now let's take a look at it. All right, so here comes daylight right there. You don't see the sun yet. Now the sun should go straight up. So now the sun goes straight up, just like our model predicted. And then it goes behind you, and then it goes straight down. Then the sun's gone, then we have some daylight left, and then it gets dark. Okay, so I'm not saying I know the exact scale of everything. I mean, as the sun goes around, it could change height. The energy field could change size at different times of the year. So I'm just showing you how I think the model roughly works, and I think it works pretty well. And then let me leave you one more thing before we go. Okay, so here's a day and night map on July 8th, 2024 at noon. Now, if you look, basically the whole world is lit up except for Australia. Now, this map looks a little confusing, and let me show you why. Now, the daylight map looks pretty weird. That's because they took a ball and they peeled it back like an onion, and then they laid it down flat, and that's why it looks confusing. Did they do that on purpose? I mean, they could have dissected it this way, but then it would show that daylight works on a flat earth. Okay, so daylight, July 8th at noon. Let's go back to our model. Now, instead of using an energy field, this time we're going to use a light. This way you can see it a little bit better. All right, so here's noon, July 8th. This line right here is the summer solstice, if you can see it. Now we're 15 degrees in from there, so it's about right there. Okay, so that's where the sun should be. Now let's lift it straight up. Okay, right there. It looks really close. The problem is, it doesn't work on a globe. Let me show you. Okay, here's our globe. This is the summer solstice, pointing right at it. So let's crank it like 15 degrees because it's July 8th. All right, okay. So now, let's put Australia in the dark right here. Right? Australia's in the dark right there. And then we come on this side. And whoa, the whole United States is dark. That's not going to work, right? South America is dark. Okay, now let's crank it back this way. Now we're going to light up United States and South America. Okay, we're going to come back on this side. Oh my God, Russia's dark. This whole thing is dark. This whole thing is supposed to be lit up to there. So there's too much daylight for a globe this size. So that's a big problem. Now, if you're a full-on glober, I'm sure I lost you a long time ago. This is for somebody that wants to learn about the true Earth. And you can see you don't have to throw your brain in the garbage can to see that the flat Earth works just fine.
Oh, look at here. Looks like somebody threw away a perfectly good
Brain.